you're going to hear today are 5 ideas that came from all parts of the private sector, and no WashDOT tax dollars were used to make any of these presentations to you. And this represents thousands and thousands of dollars of engineering work by private citizens and other leaders in our community who are frustrated at the lack of movement to improve our transportation infrastructure between Oregon and Southwest Washington. So one of the things too, we do have some political realities that we're dealing with, and the presentations that you're going to see, in full disclosure, there is no funding identified for what you're going to hear about. But that doesn't mean that we can't do it. We have to start somewhere, and the citizens are going to be expected to pay for whatever project we build. And for me, I'm a legislator. I spent 35 years in marketing and advertising. I have an organic farm. I'm an artist, so I'm kind of a right-brainer. But I think about transportation with my leftmost brain, and we have to approach this with an engineer's mind about what are the things that we're trying to achieve. And for me, it's easy. We need freight mobility improved upon in our region, and we need to relieve the commute times for our citizens. We send 80,000 people to the state of Oregon to work every day just from Clark County. 80,000. Conversely, Oregon doesn't send hardly anybody here to work every day. So they're not as motivated as Southwest Washington is to fix this problem. If they sent 80,000 people to work here, they would be, but they're not. They also have some stark financial realities, as does Washington. For example, we have a total of 49 cents per gallon on gas tax that we charge our citizens. So with the 18-cent federal gas tax, our citizens pay about 63 cents a gallon just for gas taxes. For the next 20 or 30 years, we're going to be paying off gas taxes. We're going to be paying off bonds from a 2005 gas tax that we passed, a 2003 gas tax, and of course the one we just passed in 2015. So today, almost 90 cents of every gas tax dollar that we collect goes to pay for all that bond debt. So instead of buying 100% rebar and concrete with our tax dollars, we're paying bankers and bondholders. So we have to come up with a new way to pay for transportation, and that's the stark reality that we're facing. Now, Oregon is also in a pickle because they have a $22 billion unfunded pension liability, and they're facing another deficit on top of that just in their structural budget for their general fund. So right now, there's no plan in place. And just to give you one final note, about a month ago, Kevin Peterson, who you're going to hear from, joined me at a meeting with the Secretary of the Washington State Department of Transportation. Wonderful man, Secretary Roger Millar. And we were straight up with him, and I asked him straight out, what is WashDOT's plan for this region to improve freight mobility and traffic congestion between Oregon and Washington? What is the plan? And he said, WashDOT does not have a plan. And I said, could you repeat that? And of course he did. And I said, why isn't there a plan? We need a plan. And he said, well, that's not the function of our DOT. We're not a planning organization. And that is delegated to your regional, basically for us, it would be our RTC, which is the Regional Transportation Planning Organization from Southwest Washington. And folks, that is disappointing news for all of us that want solutions that work, that are affordable, that our citizens can accept, because the RTC is controlled by folks that really want to revive the failed CRC project. So what we need to do as citizens is we need to make our voice heard. We need to find out what options are available to build new bridges between our two states. And then we need to get massive citizen support to make those things happen. That's what it's going to take. And somebody has said that it takes 70% of the citizens to get 51% of the votes out of the legislature, and I believe that. So I'm tasking all of you, thank you for being here today. I'm going to turn it over to our presenters, and I want you to take away today the ideas that you can support and tell your neighbors about them. Tell your family and friends about them. so that we can build momentum to put pressure on our elected officials to do something. Because doing nothing is not an option. To make my point, Oregon wants to change people's behavior and how they move about, and they get to make that choice for their city just like we get to make that choice for our county. And they have made it really clear that they want people on bicycles and on light rail trains and on their other buses that they have. And that's why they've made the decision to not invest in their lane miles anymore. But in Clark County, we're more independent and we want to move about in the way that we choose. And I think this is just it's a concept that every community gets to decide for themselves. But what we have to do as elected officials is we have to thread that needle, and we have to find some transportation solutions that satisfy both those differing ideologies. And so that's what I'm tasked to do is, and I'm going to continue to work with Oregon legislators as I have for the last couple of years. And there are some people on the Oregon side that get it. They understand that their solution really isn't working because their ridership is actually going down. The same thing is happening with many of the C-Tran bus routes. Costs are going up, but ridership's going down. So we have to get back to a free market system of transportation where we don't just build it and expect them to use it. We need to respond to the market demand, which is people wanting to move the way they want. So I would want to thank again all of our presenters for being here, but most of all, I want to thank the audience for being here. And please, as I mentioned earlier, please communicate these ideas that you've heard today that you're interested in. Send me comments to my email. It's on that flyer that we have available. And please tell your neighbors to attend the next one we're going to have. And with that, I guess I will just thank my legislative aide, Shelby Pellin, for being a superstar assistant to me.